Okay, let's talk about the Mevo device. We have the Mevo camera here ready to go, and we're going to work on these together. So I'm going to put the camera just off to the right here. We're going to open up the Mevo. Oh, before we start the Mevo app, there's two things we have to make sure. We're going to go to our settings. We're going to make sure that our Wi-Fi is set to Netgear 86 5G. Okay, Netgear 86-5G is the Wi-Fi that we're using. We're not using our standard Sonic 6105. This is the one we have set up. So make sure, and then make sure that the iPad has the Bluetooth option turned on. Okay, so after the Bluetooth option is turned on, I'm going to exit out. I'm going to go to the Mevo app, which is under my video, and I'm going to click on the Mevo app. It launches. And it's going to tell me to make sure to turn on the Mevo. So I'm going to turn this camera on here by pressing it, holding it. It's ringing. Let's see what happens now. It says, can't find a new Mevo. Make sure your Mevo is nearby and powered on. Well, let's close this. There we go. It did its stuff. It's showing that it's Netgear 5G. Also, the Mevo app, when you turn it on, it will show the power of how charged the camera is, and according to this, it's 91%. So I'm going to press connect. All right. So the Mevo is now looking at me, and I'm going to put it here. It looks kind of horrible looking at me. Let's have it look at this wonderful flower here. Okay. So let's do a couple things. I want to show you this Mevo app. Number one, I'm going to click over here. Let's talk about the settings. Most of the settings are already set, but just in case you need to know that, there's a button to disconnect. If I click it, it disconnects from the Mevo, and now the Mevo is turned into the standby mode. Okay, I'm going to connect. You'll also see that Mevo is now a blue light instead of a white, and we're taking a lovely picture of our floor. Let's go into some of these camera modes. Let me show you here. If you click on the camera once and just tap, you'll notice that it forms a little crop screen. And if you look over here in the little tiny area, you'll notice that the camera is just picking that section of the screen. So actually I have it set to auto. Let me go to turn autopilot off. That's a funky thing there. This is more exciting here. So we have the camera over here. And with this, if you look, this is your preview and this is your program. This is what's going out to the stream while they're recording. And watch, if I move it over and I hold it, you'll notice that it will pan to the left. Pretty neat, huh? Also, if you pinch and zoom, pinch small, you'll notice that it zooms in. And this thing acts pretty fast. So one way to do a pan is to simply just move it over. But Mevo is more exciting than that. You can actually preset different angle shots. For example, I want the drum over there. If I press and hold that, it'll now give me a yellow box that shows that that is now a predetermined shot. If I press and hold over here, I now have two shots, and all I simply have to do is switch between those. It's a simple cut back and forth. So you can set up actually multiple shots. And if I don't like that shot, I can zoom it out. Maybe a nice center shot. Maybe we're doing a three performers. You have a left performer, you have a right performer, and a center one. And I can even do a fourth, which will be a full zoom. So again, by simply pressing these preset shots, you can actually have a nice type of setup. Let's go into this view right here. This is the multi-view. This shows you the views that I've already set up. There goes the center one, there goes that left one. And so actually you can run your whole show or recording in this view if you like. And it also always includes, see these 4 static shots? It always includes a full wide shot. And because it's outlined in blue, it shows you that's the current shot that is going out. So that's one way to run the Mevo camera if you like. Let's go. Oh, there's a button here that goes to full wide. That's your default button. So So again, I can go to my predetermined shots. And the cool thing, I can exit out. If you don't like a shot, I want to get this one and I want to move it over a little bit more. I've now moved that shot to now be over there. If I press and hold it, get over here. There you go, press and hold and then move it. Now that shot becomes over there. So there's ways of, once you get a shot, and if you press and hold it, you can get rid of it actually. So let's go this one, press and hold. Now we're just down to 2 shots. And if I go to my multi-shot view, you'll notice I have those 2 static shots and always the wide shot. So that's just getting set up. So before you actually hit record, which is over here, it's good to do a setting up. Sometimes on a Sunday morning, we won't do a preset. That'll be something we'll work on. But say, for example, for myself, I'm running it by myself sometimes. If I go to my option button and I click this little I with the letter A in it, that is the auto mode. And Mevo uses 2 wonderful things called Find Faces and Live Follow. Let's talk about Find Faces. If we were to have a person on the edge of this camera right here, it'll actually look for eyes, mouth, and a nose, and it'll recognize it as a person, and just like some cameras, it'll track that person. And if we only have one person and that person begins to move using Live Follow, the camera will actually follow that face. And if we press autopilot, which is a full mode, they have slow autopilot and fast autopilot, which means it transitions quickly between shots. The autopilot mode, for example, is what we sometimes do in a nice group setting. And what it does, it allows us, you'll see the camera starts to change every now and then. It'll, based upon its own choices, it already made 2 shots, or the shots that we used before. Let's see, let's put another shot over here. Click and hold. So if I go back to auto, again, the camera is just simply switching. Let's go right here to this view, and it'll show you that the camera is at its own algorithm deciding to switch to different shots. So be careful if you're recording, it just switched, and you forget that the autopilot on is because you move it to something and then it changes. You're like, oh, I went through that shot. I didn't want it to do. It's probably because autopilot is on. So we're going to exit out of that. I'm going to go to our settings button here. I'm going to go to auto, and I'm going to turn off autopilot. Let's talk about audio, because this is the most important one. Currently, there's 2 ways to get audio into the Mevo, and there's an audio mixer. There's a button that says use the Mevo microphone. So if I tap on the Mevo, you'll notice we have some loudness meters, and we typically want to stay up into the 75% range. There is a clipping button that turns red, so I'm going to tap the Mevo. Let's see what happens. I'm going to talk really loud into it. Yeah! You see we went to the red. We do not want red. And so, for example, on a Sunday morning, if we're using the Mevo input microphone, we're going to want to attenuate our audio input maybe between 5 and 10, which is about 7. So that's something we can do. Again, just by watching those meters, you got to be really careful. If it's below at that level, that is too low and we would want to boost. For example, if I'm talking, I want the audio to be, let's see, right around there. Check 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Again, if I were just talking, I would want the Mevo microphone to be set at least about 18 dB higher. But if it was the band playing and the drums, you've got to watch that. So that's the input. Now, we notice that we are going to be using the iRig item, and the iRig item allows us to get audio from our mixer and microphones and give a higher quality signal. So let's do that real quickly. I'm going to plug it in here into the headphone jack, and let's go here. Go back to our settings, click the microphone, and I'm going to switch it to iPad. We get a little warning here that says headphones recommended to avoid feedback. We don't worry about that. But here is where we would plug in a 1/4-inch cable from our mixer, and we'll go over that a little bit later. But this is now telling us And you'll notice that our meters are dead. Nothing's happening down there because there's no audio input. We're not using a microphone from here, and we're not using any input from here. We could choose to use, if I unplug it, you'll see the level goes back up. And now what's happening, we're using the iPad built-in microphone. So as I tap, notice as I tap, the level goes up, again, because we're using the microphone here. So that's that. Let me show you a couple more things that are very important about this. Oh, let's go to live streaming here. We haven't done that. Well, let's go here. Let's close this out. Let's go to recording here. When we press record, we have three options. We have record to HD, which is what we might do if we don't want to stream. We are not using the live stream. We're using Facebook Live, so I would simply click Facebook Live, and it'll tell me to notice that I have the Westlake Community Baptist Church logo here, which is a circle. And we'll type what's happening, and typically I'll type in the date of the service. For example, if it's, let's type in June 14, which is my birthday, comma 2017. That's good enough. And then over here, I'm going to reduce my thing here. I have two options here. Let's type it again. It's easier. There is a setting here. One's called low, medium, and HD. Currently, we're using, our bandwidth is kind of low. We're estimating less than 2 megabits per second. And so it's really best for us to use the low quality. Otherwise, we'll introduce stuttering, and people, on the other hand, will have a really horrible time watching. But if we're going to record it, we're not going to go live. We definitely want to use HD. But for now, we're going to use low. Is it public? Yes. And then when we're ready to record, we simply hit go live, and it'll do a couple of its things. And when we press go live, literally we are streaming to our Westlake Community Baptist page correctly there. So that is how we set it up to go streaming. I'm gonna hit escape or to cancel. But again, we hit the record button, Facebook Live, type in the date or something, make sure it's on low, and you hit go live, and we're good. Let's just do some recording here. Record HD. And you'll notice that the Mevo now has turned a lovely evil red. Whenever you go into record mode, you're going to notice a couple things. On the bottom, we're going to find out how much space is left on that SD card, because we're recording. That would not be there if we were streaming. We would see actually a bit rate. And then it actually gives you a little timer to show you how long you have been recording. Okay? So right now we're recording. We can simply go back and forth, go to our microphone. Let's say I want to switch to the Mevo microphone. Again, for our most part, we're going to be using the iRig 2 unit. And we'll talk about how to set that up a little bit later. Again, checking my levels to make sure I'm good. I can exit out of there. If I want to use autopilot, find faces live. There's another option here for filters. It's just kind of unnecessary. We're not into getting, moody kind of stuff. Let's do normal, minimize that. And there's a question mark. I don't know what that does. You can't do much questions when you're in record mode. Again, that's our multi-screen mode. And when you're done recording, what you're going to do is press the red button, and it says slide to stop. Click it once again, slide to stop. And now Mevo has turned to its lovely, beautiful blue. Here's one important thing that when we're doing the Mevo streaming, if we chose to record to Facebook Live, and this has actually happened to me, unfortunately, maybe I lose the connection. Once the recording started, I lose the connection from the laptop to the Mevo. The Mevo will continue to stream directly to Facebook. The only reason we need an iPad is because the only button that we have an interface is on the Mevo is just one big button. But the iPad acts as the interface. But again, if the iPad crashes, this will still record to Facebook, which is a really great thing. I've had that happen. So that is a simple demonstration of our Mevo, and that's just to help us to get started. So I really appreciate all your help and all your working in the kingdom of God for this, and we pray that God would continue to use us to reach many for Christ.